to Wellness with Michelle Christman, and I'm so excited you're with us today. We're here to empower you, your friends, your family, and your loved ones to be healthy and well naturally. And the one thing that I absolutely love about health is that you are made to be well. You are made to function at a high level of health and vitality so that you can be the best you ever. See, you don't have to think about your heart beating. You don't have to think about your lungs. You don't even have to think about your hair growing or the ability for you to move your fingertips or your toes, to hear me or see me. The reality is the body is doing it every single moment on its own. So I begin to ask you this question. Why is it that I hear moms over and over again throughout our lifetime in practice tell me that their children have ear infections, that their children have asthma, that they're on multiple nebulizers, that they have to take these medications, that the reality is they're only on a small dose? Well, let me ask you this. If you believe that your heart beats naturally on its own, then wouldn't you believe too that your body should function normally and that your child shouldn't have ear infections, that maybe your children shouldn't have asthmas? So let's begin to think, how did it occur in the first place? And that's what we're going to start to delve into. And I can't wait for us to take a quick commercial break, because we're not only going to start to delve into why the body is so smart and intelligent and how it's so important for you to take care of your children naturally so that you don't head down the path with asthma and ear infections. And Dr. Tania is here today. She is so amazingly brilliant, and she's going to start to teach us why it's important to not only take care of your children naturally, but how it's also important to begin to see the beauty in your children. And we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Christman Family Chiropractic, a creating wellness center located at 2310 Churchville Road, Suite C in Bel Air, is enhancing lives through the power of a chiropractic adjustment. As a licensed chiropractor in Maryland and Pennsylvania, Dr. Evan Christman can correct damage from years of lifestyle stresses while educating you to maintain good health for your lifetime. A dedicated professional with a very special focus on children with learning differences and autism, Dr. Christman treats people of all ages: newborn babies, children, pregnant women, families, seniors, and professional golfers. Isn't it time for you to reclaim your life? Take your first step toward health and vitality today. Call Christman Family Chiropractic, a creating wellness center, at 410-734-4060 and let their experienced staff show you how to restore the flow of life. 410-734-4060 or check them out at restorelifeflow.com.
And welcome back to Wake Up to Wellness with Michelle Christman, and I'm so excited you're with us today. We're here to empower you, your friends, your family, and your loved ones to be healthy and well naturally. And the one thing that I love about health is that you are made to be well, and you're made to function at a high level of health and vitality so that you can be the best you ever. And today we're talking to one of the most amazing wellness chiropractors in the world. Her name is Dr. Tania. Dr. Tania, welcome to Wake Up to Wellness with Michelle Christman this morning.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, you are welcome. I've got to tell you, Dr. Tania, she is not only so absolutely beautiful, she is in the best shape of her life. You know, if you saw her in person, which you can see her right now on KHZTV.com, you would begin to see that she is absolutely radiant. She's in the top shape of her life. But the one thing, you know, I've known her for probably the last, maybe 10, maybe 12 years. And I've got to tell you, she has barely changed. She looks gorgeous. And the one thing is that when health is abound, you have to realize that somebody has a tremendous amount of education for that to occur. When you look around our culture, most children and most families and most adults are not well. They're overweight. They're on so many different medications. And the other thing I want you to think about too is most people have many sickness, illnesses, and diseases in their life. And in today's day and age, to say that you haven't seen somebody in maybe 10 years and they still look the same and even better, that shows you that Dr. Tania has the most amazing information to share with us. So Dr. Tania, how do you stay in such amazing shape and in such amazing health?
Well, to be healthy, you have to understand what health is. And health is, as you referenced earlier, physical, mental, and chemical well-being. So the things that I do in my own life and the things that I teach our patients to do is to take care of things like their central nervous system through regular chiropractic adjustments. So I and my entire family gets spinal adjustments, 2 to 4 times a month just to stay well, not because we're in a crisis. We also eat really well. We get adequate, good quality sleep. We eat healthy, clean foods. We are well hydrated, and we manage our stresses. So health is a very multifaceted machine. And if you don't understand that, it's very difficult to be that.
So talk to me about children with asthma. What happens here? You know, we've got the birth process. In that birth process, in a medical setting, there's between 40 to 60 pounds of uncontrolled pressure put on that child's head and neck. And in a C-section, there's 90 pounds of uncontrolled pressure. And I want you to think about this. If you live your life through your central nervous system and in the cervical spine, which is your neck, what organs does that house?
The nerves from your neck, your upper cervical area, right below your ears, it's direct control to so many of the vital functions of your body. And babies during this birth process experience such incredible pressures. Imagine putting the tightest turtleneck ever over your head. And that's the type of pressures that the babies experience coming through the cervix and the vaginal canal, even under the best of circumstances. And I can tell you, after almost 25 years of practice, Michelle, that it's rarely the best of circumstances. If you're in a hospital birth, there is so much intervention that results in pulling and twisting and cutting of baby. It's really quite disturbing. I've been privileged to see births at home, births in birthing centers, and births in hospitals. And the hospital births are by far the most traumatic for the baby. And these kids are always the sickest babies that we see in our offices.
And, you know, the one thing that I want you to begin to think about, too, is that if our body was made to be well, and it was, you know, as I said, you don't have to think about your lungs doing their job, breathing. You don't have to think about your heart beating. How can it be that in this day and age that children end up with asthma?
So many children end up with asthma. You know, moms come in and will say, oh, my kid has just, you know, your run-of-the-mill ear infections. And they're not run-of-the-mill. They may be common, but they're not in any way, shape, or form normal. And so many of these health issues are due to birth trauma. So how can a brand new baby that has every opportunity, everything it needs to be perfectly healthy, be dealing with a chronic disease at weeks or months of age, like ear infections or asthma and allergies?
You know, ear infections, it's really interesting. They state that about 75% of all children have at least one ear infection prior to age 3. And you've got to begin to ask yourself, you know, what ends up happening when a mom begins to see that their child has a symptom, right, or an illness or a disease? We're being taught that there's a pill, powder, lotion, drug, shot, or surgery for everything that ails us. And I'm here to say that my guess would be, in our lifestyle, in our households, that we probably don't reach for those medications and those drugs. What do we do that's differently?
Well, chiropractic, from a chiropractic perspective, I always want to check the structure. I want to go back to the source of health, which is the brain and spinal cord. So chiropractically, we'll always adjust these children. And we also look at things like their environment, and we look at their diet, and we look at, are they getting adequate sleep? It's really disheartening to see that we are always reaching for the fast, temporary relief. And I know as a mom or a dad of a young child that you want to do everything you can to make your child more comfortable. But the question you need to be asking is, why is this happening? Not how can we make that symptom go away, how can we make them feel better, but how can we make them well? And truly, feeling good is no indication of being well.
You know, that's the truth. And the pharmaceutical companies spend an estimated $65.5 million a day in advertising to teach you and your family that if you feel good, you're well, and if you feel bad, you're sick. The reality is that's not how the body functions or works at all. See, symptoms are a very poor indication of your health. And you've got to begin to think, too, that there are different types of nerves. We talked about the central nervous system controlling your life, every single organ, tissue, and cell in the body. But let's talk about the motor nerves, the autonomic and the sensory. And what's very interesting is the motor nerves, there's 90% of those with the autonomic nerves in your body. And they do not perceive pain whatsoever. The sensory nerves are 10% of your nerves, and they are what perceives pain. So by the time you have a signal, a symptom, an illness, or a disease, something saying that there's something going on with my body, and many people will say, well, you know, but I've been having these symptoms for just a little bit or for a long time now. Well, the reality is, if your motor and autonomic nerves have been dealing with those physical, chemical, and emotional stresses for months, if not years, what do you think's really going on in your body? So tell me, prior to them having a symptom, oftentimes there's been stuff going on in their body for a long time. And it goes back to those lifestyle choices and the nervous system not functioning. Talk to me about that. Where do you see, by the time someone has a symptom, where do you think their health has gone prior to that? Like, what could they do to not only begin to change prior to a symptom, but what should they be doing to get to a point that they don't even have those asthmas or ear infections? Do you see what I mean?
I do. I believe every child should be checked from the moment of birth. The moms will say, well, how soon should I bring my child in? And we joke, well, as soon as you clean them off is preferable. So we see children literally just after the moment of birth. If I'm privileged enough to be at the birth center or the home or the hospital for the birth, we check the babies right away. And that would be like taking your child for their first dental checkup. You would not want to wait to bring your child to the dentist if they had an abscessed tooth or a cavity. You bring them for preventive dental care, just like you should bring them for preventive chiropractic care. So the birth process, again, even under the best of circumstances, can be very traumatic on the spine of the child. So when you get a chiropractic assessment, you can have your child's life move forward with the utmost confidence that he or she has everything it needs to be well and grow well, instead of waiting until they're in crisis and then treating it with a pill, potion, lotion, or a shot. And all of those medical treatments for crisis care have many, many side effects to them. It's a slippery slope that often ends in even more serious health problems than they originally had. So ensuring that your children grow well is so incredibly important, and chiropractic is a huge part of that, along with the things like diet, exercise, stress management, and adequate good quality sleep.
The one thing that I love about this is we're talking about a lifestyle. We're talking about making choices and decisions so that your body and your children get to be healthy and well naturally. The one thing that I love about this too is that Dr. Tania said was that, we're used to taking our children to the dentist, right, to keep our teeth clean. We're used to making sure our children brush their teeth. My little one is 1 year and 3 months old now. She has 4 teeth, and I've been teaching her how to brush her teeth multiple times out of a day. These are learned lessons. Also, you have to begin to ask this, and the dentistry profession has done an amazing job. Parents start saving for braces like years and years and years ahead of time. And yet, what happens when you begin to train your teeth to be in that perfect position? And over time, those teeth are beautiful and they're straight and they look great. But what happens, what do they tell you after your teeth are beautiful and the dentist says, we're taking those braces off? What do you have to do now?
You have to wear a retainer to maintain their proper position.
Yeah, and many moms and dads will tell you that if their children don't wear those retainers, what happens to their teeth?
They get crooked again. And I have 2 teenagers that don't want to wear their retainers, so I can speak firsthand. I can speak firsthand to that.
Yeah, and how much money is it?
Thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and think about this. If we were to teach you how to just simply get adjusted, show up at your wellness chiropractor's office, be consistent. It's amazing how many people just simply don't know that being adjusted is the most important vital need out there. Literally, there's a vital need pyramid, and the first vital need is your nerve supply. Without it, within seconds, life is over with. After that is air. Then there's water. And the 4th vital need is food. Yet when you talk to people about health, they'll tell you, oh, but I'm eating well. I'm drinking this. Oh, I'm doing that. Well, that's fabulous. However, if your nerve supply is not able to send the signals to the brain to body and back again because of subluxations that have occurred because of stresses in your lifetime, from the food, from the lack of moving, then over time, health is not going to abound. I don't care what you do. There is no magic lotion or potion for this. The reality is, show up at your local wellness chiropractor's office and be adjusted. Tell me, Dr. Tania, how did you become a chiropractor?
I had a major transformation in my own health from asthma, believe it or not. I had missed weeks, if not months, of school every single year due to respiratory illnesses like asthma, allergies, pneumonia, and bronchitis. And I was very lucky to get in a car accident when I was about 15 years old. And most people would not consider themselves to be lucky. But I did, because it brought me to a chiropractic office. And, pardon me, though chiropractic is not for pain management. At that moment in my life, that's the only point of reference that I had, but it saved my life. I went to the chiropractor because I had some physical symptoms such as pain, and as my doctor was examining me, he was touching the area of my spine, my neck and my upper back, and he looked at me and he said, "How long have you had respiratory illnesses?" And I remember this like it was yesterday, and it was over 30 years ago. I looked up over my left shoulder and I said, "How in the world did you know that I had respiratory illnesses?" Because I knew that I hadn't told him. I knew that I hadn't written it on my new patient paperwork. And he explained to me very simply, like Michelle has done so well in doing, that the brain controls every function of your body, and those nerves have to travel down through your spine and out through spinal nerves to control your lungs. And the area of your spine that protects and surrounds the nerve to your lungs is grossly out of alignment. It irritates those nerves to the lungs, and now your lungs aren't able to fight dis-ease or function well. So I know with certainty that you're having respiratory issues. And I heard him, and I was a little in awe of that, but really the proof is in the pudding. And I went from a child who had many incidences of upper respiratory infections to never having another upper respiratory infection again in my life for 30 years. So I am convinced that chiropractic actually saved my life, not only from a physical health perspective, but from a professional perspective. I am living the life of my dreams and helping other people to be well, like my chiropractor helped me to be well.
Wow. I mean, that is absolutely amazing. And at the end of the day, this is about that nervous system functioning. And when that nervous system can send those signals out to the lungs, able to do what they need to do, back to the brain and back again, health abounds. And that's what I hear from you. And that's why when people go into chiropractors' offices, they get well. And I love it. God, thank you so much, Dr. Tania. You're amazing. Tell me, how can people reach you? One of the most amazing things I've learned from Dr. Tania, she's so committed to our community, not only for them to be well, but to learn great information. But she does an absolutely wonderful blog. And there was a wonderful listener of yours that sent a really great message on the Wake Up to Wellness site talking about how she absolutely loved your blog. So tell me about that, and how can people reach you?
Thank you, Michelle. I've been a practitioner over almost 25 years now, and the messages that I've been teaching my patients for all those years in my office, I felt like there was a greater audience. There's a great need for this information. So I busted out the four walls of my office. I have two great business partners at Broadneck Family Chiropractic in Annapolis, Maryland, and they allowed me to take my education on the road. So I'm writing a blog. It's www.drtania.com. That's DRTANIA. And we have listeners and readers in I think every country. We have thousands of readers who enjoy healthy conversations from an every girl perspective. There's good solid health information from a chiropractic wellness perspective. And I am so blessed to have the opportunity to reach one-to-many now, like you're doing, Michelle. One-to-one in the office is such a privilege and such an honor, but I felt called to have a broader audience. And drtania.com has given me the opportunity to reach all of you in lands near and far. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Dr. Tania, thank you so much. You're such a blessing. She looks fabulous. So please read. And I've got to tell you, we're going to take a quick commercial break. I can't wait for you to not only hear Dr. Lise, she's absolutely amazing. We're going to delve in even further into ear infections, and I can't wait for that. We're going to take a quick commercial break.
Christman Family Chiropractic, a creating wellness center located at 2310 Churchville Road, Suite C in Bel Air, is enhancing lives through the power of a chiropractic adjustment. As a licensed chiropractor in Maryland and Pennsylvania, Dr. Evan Christman can correct damage from years of lifestyle stresses while educating you to maintain good health for your lifetime. A dedicated professional with a very special focus on children with learning differences and autism, Dr. Christman treats people of all ages, newborn babies, children, pregnant women, families, seniors, and professional golfers. Isn't it time for you to reclaim your life? Take your first step toward health and vitality today. Call Christman Family Chiropractic, a creating wellness center at 410-734-4060, and let their experienced staff show you how to restore the flow of life. 410-734-4060, or check them out at restorelifeflow.com.
Welcome back back to Wake Up to Wellness with Michelle Christman, and I'm so excited you're with us today. We're here to empower you, your friends, your family, and your loved ones to be healthy and well naturally. And the one thing that I love about health is that you were made to be well. You were made to function at a high level of health and vitality so that you could be the best you ever. And today we're talking to one of the most amazing chiropractors in the world. Her name is Dr. Lise. And I've got to tell you, I can't wait for you to hear her information. She is flat out amazing. Dr. Lise, welcome to Wake Up to Wellness with Michelle Christman this morning.
Good morning, Michelle. It's exciting to be here. It's an honor.
Oh,
You
are welcome. You sound fabulous. I've got to tell you, as I was talking about early, the amazing shape that Dr. Tania is in, Dr. Lise, she is in just as amazing shape. She lives in the Turks and Caicos. She looks absolutely fabulous, and she lives a wonderful lifestyle. Dr. Lise, tell me, how did you end up in this path of chiropractic and taking such great care of yourself so that you could be healthy and well naturally to empower the world to do the same?
Well, Michelle, I stumbled upon chiropractic when I was 15 years old. I've been athletic my entire life. It's just part of who I am. And I actually suffered a track and field injury, and I was literally taken off the track by ambulance, taken to the hospital. And they kind of checked me out. I was in so much pain. They gave me a shot of Demerol, and I laid in a hospital bed for 3-4 days with a severely contracted hip flexor injury. And then, they sent me home with drugs, typical, anti-inflammatories, NSAIDs, muscle relaxants, and said, I'd be fine in a week or so. Well, lo and behold, 3 months went by, and I lost my whole track season, and I was very, very passionate. I was a sprinter, long jumper, high jumper, and I was devastated. And I bumped into this guy from the other high school in my small town where I grew up. And he said, "What happened to you? We didn't see you on track all this season." He goes, I said, "I have this injury and it's not healing." He kind of looked at me and says, "Well, what are you doing? Go to a chiropractor." And this is 25 years ago. I'm totally divulging my age now. And, it's like this light bulb went on. I knew there was 2-3 chiropractors in my small community. And I just came home and I went through the phone book, called the chiropractor that I always drove by, and I made an appointment. And the rest is history. It totally changed my life. Not only that, but, he healed me from this injury. And what I love most, Michelle, is this chiropractor. I had to go through the full exam. He took x-rays. The hospital didn't even take x-rays of me, I think. I sat down through his doctor's report. He explained, the big idea of chiropractic and how the body is self-healing and self-regulating. And I was just hooked. It just made total sense for me. And, of course, I started healing within a couple of weeks. And as time went on, I noticed all these other health problems that I had also started clearing up. I was that one kid who always had 5-6 throat infections every winter. I was constantly taking antibiotics to the point where I think I was becoming immune to them. They weren't even doing anything for me. I also was, we were trying to get to the root cause of these daily headaches I was getting every day around 2 in the afternoon, to the point where I was having a really hard time focusing in high school in my classes. And they had put me through a gamut of tests, Michelle, and they finally diagnosed me, and it seemed so inconclusive, I might be hypoglycemic and eat small, frequent meals throughout the day. But I tried that, and I was still getting the headaches. And it wasn't until I began chiropractic care for this athletic injury that all these other health problems started going away as well.
Isn't that amazing? And so talk to me now, ear infections are the most common diagnosed by pediatricians. And also ear infections are in the top 10 reasons for admittance to the emergency room. What's amazing is that in 2006, there were 1.6 million visits by children. Talk to me about, when you begin to see that children under 15 account for 24.5 million additional visits to the pediatrician's office, what's happening? What's happening in our children's health?
Yeah. That is staggering. And I think, unfortunately, we're raising a society right from the get-go. There's so much marketing and media from the drug and pharmaceutical companies. I mean, 1 in 3, if you're watching TV and children watch, parents tend to, we try to educate our children through television. Sometimes we're busy, we're trying to cook dinner, and we turn on the TV so that our children are occupied. And unfortunately, 1 in 3 commercial is a drug-related commercial. And, it goes along the lines of, if you have this symptoms, tell your doctor that you need this medication. So what are we teaching our children from day one? And what are we subliminally teaching ourselves is that, you know what? Our health doesn't come from the inside out. It comes from the outside in. And if I'm having a symptom, I need to go to a doctor and I need to take a drug. Well, unfortunately, we're now creating the most unhealthiest society we've ever seen on planet Earth, because the body only heals one way, and you and I both know that, and all chiropractors around the world, Michelle, is that everything we have to be healthy is within us, and we just have to free up that nervous system and tap into that innate intelligence of the body, which is wiser than all the most brilliant scientific minds together put on this planet, because it knows what to heal, how to heal, at what level, what's priority. And and your body can even create tranquilizers. It can create sleeping pills. It can create anti-cancer drugs. It can boost your immune system 200% without any drugs, naturally healing the body from the inside out. Which now we're following the natural laws of the body versus the outside-in approach, which is totally opposite of how the human body was designed.
Isn't that the truth? And in today's day and age, it's absolutely amazing because we have so much at our fingertips. Yet so many parents don't understand the amazing changes that the chiropractic adjustment can occur within the body that heals naturally. Talk to me about that. Why not only would you bring your child prior to having an ear infection, but why is it so vital for parents to show up when they do have those type symptoms?
Well, the reason, all children should be under chiropractic care from birth on. I have 2 boys. I have a 13-year-old boy and a 10-year. My youngest just turned 10, and my kids have been under chiropractic care since they were checked 10 minutes after birth, because birth is the leading cause of misalignment. So if you can survive birth, you can survive anything. So we're born to be, we're made perfectly. Okay, but our first trauma to the spine and nervous system can occur at the time of birth. And it's usually in the neck because the doctors have to pull so hard to get the rest, the birth canal only dilates 10 centimeters, and the shoulders are much broader than that. So doctors have to twist and pull to get the rest of the body out. So for 8 out of 10 children, our first misalignment occurs at the birth or shortly thereafter. And what happens is in the neck, those nerves go to your immune system. I always tell people when I'm doing my doctor's report, why is it that some people get sick all the time and others don't? And people go, well, it's the strength of your immune system. And I go, exactly. I said, what do you think regulates your immune system? And they kind of go, And I said, have you ever heard of neuroimmunology? And they go, yeah. I said, well, that means that the nervous system is tied in, is hardwired to your immune system, and it regulates it. But if there's pressure on the nerves to your immune system, how's your immune system going to work properly for you? Right?
Isn't that the truth?
And then for exactly. And then for ear infections, here's what I came up with recently, and people just get it. I say, look, I said, your ears are like a cavity, a canal, and it needs to be dry. What happens if you have poor nerve supply to the ears can't drain properly. So then a virus or bacteria comes into that environment, and it's like, oh, there's fluid here, like alcohol, let's have a party. So they start having their party, and they start replicating, and they create this massive ear infection, right? Now, if a child is well adjusted, the ears are always dry. There's not going to be a buildup of fluid in there. Viruses are going to come in and they're going to come out, and they're going to say, hey, there's no alcohol here, there's no liquid. Let's bail out of here and let's go find another party. And so those germs are not going to create havoc at that point.
And
because the nervous system. Go ahead, sorry, Michelle.
And you're right, because the nervous system can function at a high level of health and vitality. And that's why everybody should be checked as soon as birth, as soon as you enter this world. It's so important to have a wellness chiropractor, not only as part of your health team for your children and for your family, but for your own health and your own life. It's extremely safe. It's extremely powerful. And what's most important is that your body was made to be the most amazing system ever. And to simply not only believe in that, but show up at your chiropractor's office, be adjusted. Dr. Lise, tell me, how can people reach you? And I also would love to have you and Dr. Tania back on at another time, because you have such amazing information to share. But how do they reach you?
Well, the best way to reach me is either via telephone, 649-339-1000. make that appointment, and I have a special offer right from now until Christmas, only $90 for that initial consult and evaluation. And otherwise, you can send us an email at courtyardchiro@me.com or courtyardchiro@icloud.com. And I also have my Facebook page called Courtyard Chiropractic.
And Dr. Lisa, thank you so much. And folks, if you're ever in the Turks and Caicos traveling, make sure that you get adjusted at Courtyard Chiropractic with Dr. Lisa. Dr. Lisa, thank you so much. And I've got to tell you, I'm grateful and thankful for you. You're listening live every Saturday to Wake Up to Wellness with Michelle Christman on WAMD 970 AM, WYRE 810, WKHZ 1460, WJSS 1330. And you can watch me live at KHZTV.com. That's KHZTV.com. Take great care of your health.